SAP Security Training by India Campus Guru, Lesson 6. Today we're going to talk about SAP User Types. So let's begin. In last lectures we saw how do we create SAP users using SU01 T code. We briefly saw this screen where for users types you can see there are different options to choose, and I promise we'll talk about this in upcoming sessions. So as you can see, SAP users types are different types. You can have a dialog user type, you can have a system, communication data, reference, and service account. So these are 5 options which you can choose when you create a SAP user account using SU01, or if you're creating a MAS by using SU10. So let's briefly go over with the what all these different user types mean. So first one, I would say the mostly used type is this dialog type. So SAP, if you see another, it is application server, and there are different ways to log into SAP via SAP logon pad, right? So SAP logon pad, as we discussed, you open in your SAP system from SAP logon pad, then you need to enter your client and ID and password. So dialog type does allow a user to log in using user ID and password, and this is the type which should be assigned, or which is, I would say, mostly used user type for all the named account or end users. So if I'm end user, if I'm IT user, I would be a dialog user type. So that means dialog logon is possible with that user type, and also you need to comply with all the password policies or requirements you have in your system, like you have to change your password in 90 days or 180 days as per your company policy, and can you log in with multiple sessions, or there is auto logout on other parameters, right? So this is a default and mostly used user type, and whenever you would be creating an end user, there is a 95% chance you would be creating them as a dialog user type. And again, from SAP licensing perspective, this is the user type which SAP mostly cares. So they count all the users which are dialog user type. So you have to pay for those users type if you have them in your system as a dialog user type. So again, all the end users, all the name accounts like a person should have a dialog user type. So this will be majorly covering 95% of your user base in SAP. So I hope that clarifies what is SAP user type, which is dialog user type. The second one is system user type. So as you know, SAP interact with different interfaces, different third-party systems, and even SAP systems as well. So for that communication for interfaces, or RFC, which is SAP's way of creating connection to different SAP system, you need a user ID, right? So for those type of connections or RFCs or interfaces, you need a ID which should be system user type. So where you don't need a dialog logon where somebody have to go and enter an ID and password, it's just like it's only used for that connection. So for those type of scenarios, you will create ID as a system type, which is like a non-named account. It's not for a person, it's not for an end user, it's only for the integration between two different systems, right? And again, system user type doesn't need to comply with password policies like password expiry in 90 days or initial password will expire. So the password, whatever you set it would be valid for how many days you want it to valid, right? And it's only used for the connection. Nobody can use that ID and password and try to log into a SAP system as a named account. So it's I would say it can have more access versus your dialog user type, and it's secure in a way like nobody can get the ID and password and can log into your systems. From SAP licensing perspective, and SAP exclude these accounts and they say they are technical users, so you don't need to pay for those users type, right? So let's talk about system user type. So I would say 90% of IDs in your system would be, or maybe more than that, would be dialog user type, and the remaining one would be system, right? So again, there are few more different user type, I think, as we saw, called service. Service is in between dialog and system type. So even though it's not for named account, but it can allow a dialog log on and even to multiple set of anonymous users. So if you have like a maybe team of 30, 40, 50 and you just want to give them one ID, and they all can use that same account at same time. So that's why I mentioned this is probably not recommended to use in productive environment, because it's like a sharing of a SAP ID, and even there is a dialog log on possible, right? So again, you can have a service account maybe for some reasons in your non-production system, because even if you see